A strange plant-like thing in a barren place is struck by a strange lightning energy caused by a solar eclipse, which awakens Aku from his imprisonment. Jack is a little boy in some ancient time when Aku attacks, taking his father and destroying his village. Jack and his mother, however, are able to escape with their magic sword. For years afterward, Jack trains with masters of martial arts, learning from them before reuniting with his mother again, and taking the special sword, he goes off to fight Aku. But just before he deals the finishing blow, Aku sends Jack into the future. Jack finds himself in a strange dystopian future where, upon defeating a giant robot, gets his name from some passers-by who witness him. He enters a cantina where he gets into a bar fight and easily defeats the attackers. Some dog people who are enslaved by Aku in a mine decide to ask Jack for help, and he accepts. Jack and the dogs formulate a plan to defeat the swarm of evil drones that are headed their way. We have an A-Team-esque montage of the team building traps and such, when finally the drones reach them only to be attacked by Jack and fall victim to the traps laid out for them. In a most epic and fierce struggle, in which Jack is covered with the gruesome oil from the machines, he eventually claims victory. The dog people thank him, and Jack begins his journey. Jack finds himself in a jungle trying to catch food for himself when he runs into a creature being chased by a group of Smurfs. He helps the Smurfs catch the creature, but upon joining them for dinner in their village, he slowly learns of the treatment of the Woolies and of their peaceful past before the Smurfs invaded and enslaved them. Jack meets with the lead Woolie, who asks for his help, which he does, and in return, the leader tells Jack to travel north for a magical place. He ends up in another forest and runs into a small facility with a bunch of scientists building an escape pod. When some praying mantis robots attack them, naturally Jack jumps in and saves them. They come up with an idea to use Jack as a distraction to help them escape through Aku's blockade in space. They run some tests on Jack and build him a special suit that can fly. Jack tells them his story, and the scientists decide to try to help him go back to his time. They launch into space and are attacked by a bunch of giant space robots. Jack leaves the ship to fight off the robots. When they form into a giant gun, he stays behind to protect the scientists from it as they escape, leaving Jack behind as he falls back down to Earth. Our hero travels to an Arabic-type land following the Woolie's direction and meets a fortune teller who recognizes a scroll that Jack has and tells his fortune, but is interrupted by some bounty hunter guys who commence fighting. However, during the fight, a mysterious woman appears to help him and they escape together. The woman tells Jack of her quest to find a gem, and Jack of course decides to team up with her to achieve their mutual goals. They quest together and find the gem, which tests them, but they fail, and a big Cyclops appears which they have to fight. It then turns out that the woman was betraying Jack the whole time because she was actually Aku, who runs away laughing. A Viking-like warrior tells a story of a group of robot Vikings marching in a beautiful landscape toward a single tower, from which many arrows are shot, decimating the army. We learn that the many arrows are shot by three mysterious beings atop the tower who guard the tower with the Well of King Arthur. Jack overhears the story and decides to venture forth to find the well. When he arrives at the old battlefield, he is greeted by many arrows that he dodges but can't progress into the field. After seeing that the figures in the tower are blind, he retreats and meditates to find a solution. He comes back blindfolded, focusing on what he hears. He is able to make it to the tower and defeat the three creatures who turn out to be cursed men. Jack goes to make a wish at the well, but the men warn him of the curse, and Jack wishes for the well to be destroyed, sacrificing his wish to go home, so that no more innocents are harmed by the well. Jack walks into a cantina where he is confronted by a number of bounty hunters whom he easily dispatches. Upon exiting, he is confronted by more bounty hunters after the bounty on his head, one after the other, who he also defeats. Jack gets frustrated with all of them when his sandal breaks, and in his frustration he throws it at a bounty poster of him, which somehow turns the sandal into an evil version of Jack. After a brief conversation, a dramatic and symbolic fight takes place. After realizing that he is fighting his inner rage, he calms his mind and wins the battle. Jack sets off on a voyage to find a time machine based on an old sailor story. When his ship wrecks in a storm, he is saved by a strange ocean creature which takes him to an underwater city with amazing music in the background, I might add. He meets a group of the locals who share their story with him, and he does the same. They agree to show him the time machine, which of course turns into a trap by Aku, but after he goes back on his deal with the underwater creatures, they attack him and fail. The creatures then take Jack and run, saving him from drowning. With Aku in pursuit, Jack convinces the creature to fight, and they manage to injure Aku with Jack's sword, who then runs away. The creatures apologize, and the samurai forgives them, continuing his quest. Our hero travels across some wetlands to an ashen landscape where he hears a voice calling to him. He follows the voice into a mountain which harbors many treacherous traps, but with some trouble, he makes it through them only to have to face a giant golem. The golem tells Jack his backstory in a beautifully animated sequence, how he was cursed by Aku and seeks a true warrior's defeat to break the curse. They fight and Jack wins, earning the man's freedom, after which he ages and dies happily. The samurai begins walking across a massively long rope bridge, and after a while hears the sound of bagpipes playing coming toward him from the opposite end of the bridge. It is a big Scotsman with a big sword and a big set of bagpipes. They get into an argument due to the fact that the bridge is too narrow for them to easily move past one another, and naturally they end up fighting until each is exhausted. They are then confronted by some bounty hunters who handcuff the two together as they escape by going through the bottom of the bridge. The two are forced to run and work together as they are handcuffed together, running and fighting against numerous bounty hunters until they figure a way to break the handcuffs and battle all the bounty hunters as a team. Jack finds himself in a Temple of Doom-esque scene and joins some old-timey gangsters in order to get closer to Aku. They create a plan to get the Neptune Jewel, which controls all the water in the world from the earth, wind, and fire elementals for Aku. Jack fights the elementals and succeeds in getting the jewel as they deliver it to Aku, whereupon Jack attacks him and they fight, but right before Jack makes the final blow, the gangsters knock him out thinking they saved his life. Jack confesses in deceiving the gangsters and they say they will return the Neptune Jewel for him, but it's obviously a lie. Some children play as Samurai Jack in fighting Aku, but Aku notices and states that the kids these days have no respect for him, so he decides to gather all the kids into an arena to tell them stories. The first story is basically a warrior Santa Claus who defeats a monster and feeds all the people of the world, the hero obviously turning out to be Aku. The kids don't react to his story, so he decides to tell another of Little Red Riding Hood and saving Grandma from the big bad wolf. The kids are still non-reactive, and one asks for a story about Samurai Jack. Aku obliges and proceeds to tell the story of the three bears in which Jack eats all the porridge and destroys the three bears' house, but a kid interrupts him, stating that Jack isn't bad, so Aku moves on to the three little pigs in which Jack is the wolf, but is interrupted again by a girl. He continues with numerous other fairy tales in which Jack is the bad guy, but soon gets a bunch mixed up as the kids keep questioning his stories. He then gets mad and leaves. The kids then make up their own story of Samurai Jack in which he fights Aku and defeats him, thus concluding Season 1 of Samurai Jack.